To Solana 101, brought to you by MetricsDAO. So today we're going to be talking about the basics of Solana, and we're going to look into what the Solana blockchain is really about. But we're going to start in a minute, so bear with us, and we'll start very, very soon. Okay, GM, everyone. I see people already coming in. So really, really excited to have all of you here with us today, and really, really glad to hear that you're interested in learning more about Solana. So let's kick this off. My name is Vida. I am education lead at MetricsDAO, and I'm very excited to be bringing this webinar to you today. But before we start talking about Solana, we'll just spend a couple of minutes introducing you to MetricsDAO, which is the community that a DAO, which is bringing to you this webinar today. So essentially, MetricsDAO is a community of Web3 data analysts. And as a community, we are aiming to provide Web3 organizations with on-demand data insights and tooling. So we are not just for Web3 data analysts. So if you're not a Web3 data analyst, don't worry, because there's so many other ways you can get involved with the community. So one of the biggest things that you can do with MetricsDAO is join our educational programs. So we have a bunch of different programs for Web3 analytics. So you can join our next cohort happening in a couple of weeks if you want to get a primer to what Web3 analytics is about. If you cannot join the cohort, then we also have an asynchronous program available, as well as we have a 201 live program for you to get to understand what like advanced Web3 analytics, especially if you have already gone through our 101 programs. Other than Web3 analytics programs, we also currently have available completely free of cost Algorand and Ethereum courses that you can check out in our learning platform. And soon we will be focusing on Cosmos near Solana and DAO courses that are going to be as well available in our learning platform. So today, we have a Solana webinar, but in a few weeks, we will also have a free Solana course, which is going to delve deeper into the ecosystem of Solana. Other than the educational opportunities and content that we have available for you completely free of cost at MetricsDAO, we also post a bunch of analytics challenges that any one of you can take part in. So you can take part in those analytics challenges by sourcing questions, answering them, or reviewing others. So we are really a community at MetricsDAO here, focused on knowledge sharing and mentorship. And we really want to support all of you to grow as a Web3 data analyst, or in general as a Web3 curious person who wants to get to know better different ecosystems and what's really happening within the Web3 space. So we have a bunch of exciting kind of case stories of people landing jobs upon graduating from the programs, but through getting the knowledge and experience. And some of the people even have managed to earn a pretty good income through completing our analytics challenges. So yeah, so we've had amazing community stories that we are really, really proud of. Right. And about today, so just wanted to highlight that today is a Solana primer and that we are not going to cover any deep Solana technicalities or kind of the Solana analytics aspects. This is not the webinar for that reason. We are going to have a course which is going to delve deeper into the analytics and technicalities stuff. So today is really just a one-on-one primer for you to understand the key things about what makes Solana stand out from the other blockchains. What are some of the key use cases of Solana, and what really is important for you to understand when you think about this blockchain. And again, as I mentioned, we are going to be launching a course in a few weeks, which is going to go deeper into the Solana ecosystem. Yeah, and what about you? So I've just talked a little bit about, MetricsDAO and what we are about, but I would love to also hear what's your background, and what's your knowledge with blockchain so far. So if you could actually vote 1 to 5, 5 being that you're an expert in blockchain, 1 you actually are just completely starting out and don't really know anything about blockchains. If you could write a number in the chat in YouTube, that would be amazing. We'd love to actually hear where you're at the moment with the blockchain knowledge. And also, what's your background? Are you an analyst? Are you a coder? Are you a marketeer? Yeah, I'd love to hear who is today in the audience. And so far, we have 2 free. So people are in the middle when it comes to their blockchain knowledge. Again, another free. So excited to have you here in the audience, and hope that today is going to help to level up your level of blockchain understanding. So yeah, we have freeze, just freeze so far. Okay, that's awesome. Thank you everyone for sharing. Right. So what is Solana? What even is this about? So Solana is essentially an open source project implementing a high performance permissionless blockchain. So essentially, it's a description that can be linked actually with many other blockchains, but we are going to delve deeper a little bit today into what makes it so high performance and what separates it from other blockchains. But before I even do that, there's something that I would like to mention to you. So we actually have today a attendance form that we're going to share right now in the chat for all of you attending today. You're going to get some X-Metric tokens, which are tokens, crypto from MetricsDAO that act as a reputation token. So essentially, this is going to give you some special permissions in our DAO to do certain activities, and as well, it's going to prove to the community that actually you are invested in the community as well. And as well, we are going to be giving you a badge, which is going to give you a special access to a Solana channel, which is only going to be given to people who is going to fill in this attendance form. So do ensure to fill in the attendance form. Is going to be shared with you in the chat so that we can ensure to reward you accordingly. Right. Now let's continue with Solana and let's dive into a bit deeper into what it is about. Right. But even before we do that, there's something that I'd like to mention here is Ethereum, because we did have actually a webinar like really recently about Ethereum. And just wanted to quickly just go through how Ethereum connects with Solana and why this and how it's different. So Ethereum actually was the first blockchain which really kind of enabled people to be creating a wide range of apps or decentralized applications on it that really implemented smart contracts. So it really then kind of created this breeding ground for different blockchains to be building upon. So as well, Solana took a lot from Ethereum when it was building it. However, there's a problem with Ethereum that we have is that at the moment it is relatively slow and expensive. And if you do want to execute a transaction on the Ethereum network, you maybe have already experienced the transactions transactions are really expensive. So there's a high gas fee to execute a transaction. And there's also certain problems there with scalability. And then a lot of other blockchains came after Ethereum. We're actually trying to see how can we actually make the transactions faster and less expensive, and ensure that there's no problems with scalability. So just to ensure that, okay, like we can actually build something better than what Ethereum has. So it doesn't mean that Solana is better than Ethereum. They both have their own advantages, and people choose their blockchain themselves, depending on what's supported for them and depending on the community, because the community really matters in the blockchain space, and how the team there is invested into the community, right? So Solana is really focused as well on how can we actually create a blockchain that is fast and scalable and cheap. So we actually, and Solana has done it really well. And right now, it's actually the second ecosystem behind Ethereum in terms of the number of dApps or centralized applications that have been developed, and as well in terms of the number of the developers that are currently existing on the network. And when it comes to when Solana was conceived, it actually happened in 2017, and essentially it was conceived by the founder called Anatoly Yakovenko, when he sought out a way for a centralized network of nodes to match the performance of a single node. So that was kind of the key behind his idea and his vision, and what really created that breeding ground for Solana to come. So looking into the actual comparison with other blockchains, and we actually see that Solana is incredibly fast, and has a very fast block time. And at the moment, there are 65,000 transactions per second that can be executed in Solana. When we look at Ethereum, can be just 30, Bitcoin just 7, Polkadot 1,500, Cosmos 1,400, Avalanche 4,500. So when we look into the other popular blockchains, it is way faster, and probably it's the fastest blockchain that is out there at the moment when it comes to transaction speed. Also, it is incredibly cheap. It's so cheap that as well, like it's hard to compare it with any other blockchain. So we see that transaction fee is just a fraction, a very little fraction of a penny. So that's also an important aspect to understand when we look into Solana, is that it has created something really powerful with incredibly fast transaction speeds and incredibly cheap transaction fees. And it's really a leader in all of the blockchain space when it comes to these aspects. Right. Also, one important piece when it comes to looking into into the history of the blockchain is its white papers. Generally, blockchains do launch their white papers when they are starting out, to kind of highlight the key important innovations that are going to be executed. Solana as well has published a white paper that you can check out. It's publicly available if you really want to understand the vision behind Solana and what Anatoly, the founder, was thinking of when he was creating this blockchain. You can just check out the white paper. But here, the key innovation that Solana has brought in to actually create this really fast and cheap transaction speeds is that he actually outlined this proof of history, which is something that we're going to be looking into in a moment. But before we do that, there's also something that all the blockchains do have, which is a token. So Solana as well have its own token, which is called Sol. And Sol essentially is a utility token, as well as just a cryptocurrency where users pay transaction fees in Sol when they're transferring funds or interacting with smart contracts. All of these that people would be using for speculation purposes. And also Sol holders can act as network validators and earn fees for confirming transactions. Right, but some of the key innovations just to highlight again, and how it differentiates from other blockchain networks, and why would someone potentially want to look into Solana further, is a speed at 65,000 transactions per second is unheard of, as well as the low cost with a very small fraction of a penny, as well as the innovation regarding the consensus mechanism. So Solana is using proof of stake consensus mechanism, which is also used by most of the other blockchains. However, in addition to that proof of stake consensus mechanism, it also uses a unique voting system called proof of history, which we're going to be looking into in a moment. But this, again, the innovation that really sets Solana apart. So the consensus mechanism. So Solana uses proof of stake, or we can also, if you're looking very specifically, it's called bonded proof of stake. And here it means that anyone who calls Solana token or SOL can delegate their votes to any validator that they choose and share in their rewards or penalties while validating transactions. So here, just a visual showcasing how this consensus mechanism is operating and how it actually is all working. Right, but when it comes to the very interesting thing that Solana has developed, and this is what we've just mentioned to you here, is the proof of history, which is kind of a technology developed next to the consensus mechanism, and it can be called, like a very short way, the implementation of the arrow of time in math. So this means that transactions on Solana are verifiably ordered without all nodes needing to agree simultaneously, and this is what really allows it to be able to execute such fast and cheap transactions. So this proof of history, or if we call it in a shorter way, POH, produces timestamps, show when a block was formed, and confirms the interval between two transactions. So this is how it actually operates and ensures that we can actually have such fast transactions. But also we can look into it as a cryptographic way to ensure reliable transactions. So proof of history ensures reliability, not only just the speed, and it really kind of works next to its proof of stake mechanism. It improves the performance of its proof of stake mechanism and helps to eliminate the issue of scalability and time needed to reach consensus. If there was no proof of history algorithm, Solana's mechanism for consensus mechanism would not be as fast and as scalable as we see today. Also, like in other words, utilizing proof of history creates a historical record that proves that an event has occurred at a specific moment in time. So when we look into other blockchains and how they're doing it, they require validators to talk to one another in order to agree that a time has passed. But Solana does it differently from other blockchains in a way where each Solana validator maintains its own block by encoding the passage of time in a simple format. Sequential hashing verifiable delay function. We don't need to understand it. That's okay. It's very technical, but just to at least grasp the idea and how that it does do it differently from other blockchains and through this proof of history mechanism. But here the key idea is that its architecture enables transactions to be ordered as they enter the network rather than by block, which is the way other blockchains are doing it. So other blockchains are generally ordering the transactions by block, but Solana is ordering the transactions as they enter the network. Right. And also another thing that is different from Solana versus other blockchains, in particular Ethereum, is that Solana is very focused very aggressively separating code and data. So accounts in Solana are used to store data and state, and the advantage of program accounts model that Solana has implemented is that you have one generic program that operates on various data. Right. Other than the proof of history, Solana has implemented a bunch of other interesting technologies. We're not going to have the time to delve deeper into the different technologies, but we are going to have this information highlighted deeper in the course that I mentioned you that's going to go live in a few weeks. But some of these key innovations involve Tower BFT, Turbine, Gulf Stream, Sea Level, Pipelining, Cloud Wake, and Archivers. So these are some of the other key innovations that Solana has established. And yeah, this is all really, really interesting. But again, we don't have the time to go deeper into it today. Another important piece here is when in looking into Solana's history is that when it was actually being kind of developed and when it was being brought out into the market, it actually raised a bunch of money in one of the largest open sales. So that's actually how it gained its treasury and actually had the funding in order to continue developing. And here, the interesting part is that A16Z, which is actually one of the biggest venture capital firms, has supported Solana. So as well, that's actually a big flag here. That one of the biggest venture capital firms put it in Solana so much money, because it hasn't really done that for many other blockchains, and in general, it's not really common to see that in the blockchain space. So that's a huge thing that Solana has happened in Solana. But here, just one thing about in general blockchains is that the right people in a project's corner lend it crucial credibility. The name of the game is to convince as many people as possible to build on your protocol. Then it's about those developers attracting and properly incentivizing. So that's why if you see, blockchains are very much focusing on right now, as we are just kind of starting in this blockchain space, and how can we actually attract more developers to build apps that as well will be able to attract more the mass audiences into the blockchain space and use these protocols. But ultimately, it all starts from the developers. And Solana has done a really great job in attracting developers to its ecosystem. And incentivizing these developers to be building on top of Solana. And actually, we're going to right now look into a little bit just an overview of what does it mean to build on Solana. So in general, like the big thing that developers need to know when they're building on Solana is Rust. So Rust is not an easy language. It's a very complicated language. It's a very tricky one to develop on. But just knowing that Solana is the second one after Ethereum when it comes to its developer activity means a lot, because it means that even though the Rust language is so complicated to learn, still developers on Solana really believed in its application and its technology, and still wanted to take on that word to learn Rust. And also when it comes to the blockchain space in general, the interoperability, or the way different blockchains can work together, is really important. And we've seen that there is this thing called Ethereum virtual machine that actually allows different blockchains to be compatible with Ethereum's technology. So EVM is actually implemented by different blockchains, but it's not implemented by Solana. But still, for a lot of developers, it is important to understand how they can bridge different Ethereum assets into Solana and the other way around. So there has been still some technologies developed to allow that. So there's this bidirectional token bridge. So it's still possible to do. But something that can as well be kind of a good analogy when we are looking into the way Solana is operating for devs and what does it mean to be developing Solana, is that Solana is like a fast car, which is really, really difficult to drive. So this specific model of this car, it's actually incredibly difficult to drive and navigate. So Solana is that kind of a thing. So it's, if you're a developer, it is hard to understand how to actually develop it. It's not an easy technology, but at the same time, it is the fastest technology we have in the blockchain space. Yeah, and also Solana did see a huge developer growth. So it's still more than twice behind Ethereum, but that's normal. But it's the second after it. Yeah, but this community is growing, and yeah, and it's really a huge and passionate community that the Solana network has developed. Right. Also another thing that we've seen many of the blockchains that have been implementing is sharding. Even Ethereum is going to be moving into sharding soon. It's like one of the things that is going to be focusing on in 2023. But actually Solana is not doing that. There's also a big difference between Solana and other blockchains. So it actually does every single chain in a single state. And it's can do that because of the different amazing technologies it has developed that actually are very innovative and are not seen in other blockchains such as proof of stake. But however, if a developer wants to use Solana, there's actually one framework that's just making Solana's programs more intuitive called Anchor. So many of the developers will be using Anchor in order to develop on Solana, and that is actually a game changer for many people. Yeah, and generally, like, what would developers use? They would use as well Node.js, Solana tool suite, Anchor, and also would actually have a Solana browser wallet. And we're actually going to look into what that wallet is, but because you need to pay very little money in order to execute transactions. Right, and now we're going to be looking into some of the key projects that are building at the moment in Solana, and just look a bit deeper into its ecosystem and what actually has been created on Solana so far. So the first we have Swirl, which is the biggest decentralized exchange on Solana. It also calls itself the fastest decentralized exchange. Well, it's normal because Solana does allow the fastest transaction speed. Also, if any of you want to actually look into what are the different kind of things that are currently happening on Solana. So what are the current transactions, or like just see the activity different accounts. Since it is a blockchain, you can see everything publicly available on explorer.solana. So explorer.solana is a place you can actually see the current situation of the network, where it is, and yeah, and just track any transaction that you might want to track. So yeah, talking about wallets, obviously, if you are involved in the blockchain space, you probably have a wallet. Many of the blockchains would have like their own main wallets. For example, Ethereum has MetaMask, and Solana has Phantom. So it's a very easy user interface. You can download a browser extension as well for the wallet, and essentially it makes it easy and safe to store, buy, send, receive, swap tokens on collect NFTs. So you can also store NFTs there on the wallet, and also yeah, it's very easy. It's very easy to use. Right. Now we're gonna look into some of the other products that are currently building in the space. And something that actually Solana has built, which is two projects that are actually leaders in the market, for specifically walking and earning tokens. So there is this one project called Stephen. Maybe you've heard of it, maybe you used it. So essentially, there you can just buy these NFT shoes, and then you can earn tokens or Solana points through walking. So you can actually track, how much you walk, and you can get rewarded. And I do have a few friends actually that have, that have been quite successful in, in earning quite a bit of Solana through walking and using this app. So STEPN is really, really interesting way of how can we actually connect SocialFi with GameFi. How can we actually create gamified experiences that are connected with tokenization? Another one, which is as well has been quite big in the market, which is also linked with the same thing, is how can we actually earn tokens through walking. It's called Sweatcoin. As well, I have used it myself. Essentially, there you can walk and earn tokens, and they don't have to buy any sort of NFT shoes, so that's a bit different from STEPN. And then you can exchange those tokens that you earn through walking for different discounts or prizes that they have available through their partner network. So these are actually the two main projects that are linked with walking and earning tokens, not only in Solana, but also in the whole blockchain space. Also, another key innovation that has been brought up by Solana about a year ago is Solana Pay. And here Solana Pay is really trying to actually be the key payment processor application, connecting traditional, kind of competing with the traditional payment processors like Visa, MasterCard, and American Express. So essentially, it's built for immediate transactions, and it actually tries to partner with different merchants and actually a lot of times be the gateway for the first time for them to be able to accept any sort of cryptocurrencies. So it's really focusing on working with, on onboarding new merchants, new shops, whether physical or digital, into the blockchain space through this Solana pay mechanism that it has developed. Also, we've seen a bunch of interesting games as well in the Solana ecosystem. Some of the biggest play-to-earn games that actually being built on Solana. So the gaming ecosystem in Solana is pretty big as well. And we also have a bunch of NFTs, that some of the most popular NFTs are also built on Solana. So Solana does have a very big NFT ecosystem too. Another big part of what is in the Solana ecosystem is in its foundation, and foundation is actually focused on providing grants to different projects that are building in the ecosystem to further develop and evolve it and bring more users on the ecosystem as well as developers. And right now, what is focused on and where it's providing the grants, and just also helps. Just looking into it helps as well to understand where Solana is focused on and where where it feels like we need to have more products developed on Solana in the future. So we see things like censorship resistance, DAO tooling, developer tooling, education, payment, or further developing Solana Pay system, and then financial inclusion, climate change, and academic research. So these are some of the parts that Solana Foundation are currently offering grants for. And you can also apply for a grant if you have an idea for any of these projects. As well, it organizes different hackathons. So another way to get involved and potentially get funding and get what's in the ecosystem is to find some of the hackathons are happening in the Solana ecosystem. So yeah, these are the main ways to get involved if you want to actually start building projects. Also, there's this thing called Solana Labs, which is actually really the key team behind developing Solana. And they're also offering a few services for people in the community that are building on Solana. So the first thing that they're offering is smart contract audits. So essentially, they're working with third-party audits to ensure that the smart contracts and technologies that are built in Solana are working well and that they are audited. Then we also have Solana program library, which includes stake pools, governance protocols, token programs, name service and token swap program that they also are maintaining, and they also have their own venture capital firm called Solana Capital, where they actually are investing in projects built onto protocols. It's actually different from the foundation, where foundation gives grants to projects. Solana Capital actually invests in those projects. That are building. And looking further into the ecosystem that Solana has created, we see like with a lot of other blockchains, that there's a big DeFi community. There's a huge DeFi community that are currently building on top of Solana, as well as some really interesting wallets, obviously including Phantom Wallet, which is the main one. Also, there's a bunch of different infrastructure solutions that are as well moving on Solana. We also have different toolings, oracles, stable coins, applications, as well as mentioned, different gaming and NFT solutions that as well are focusing on building on Solana. So this is what really see that Solana is focused on. It's focused on DeFi, it's focused on gaming, on NFTs, some really interesting as we saw play to earn or move to earn solutions. Yeah, and as well as other different kinds of infrastructure layers in order to ensure that Solana can scale better and have actually more use cases available. And the wallets, of course, and like things like Solana Pay, where it's really a great bridge between Solana and the traditional systems and traditional merchants, and aiming to be the first kind of gateway for these merchants in order to start accepting crypto. Right, so that was it about Solana. I hope you enjoyed it. And again, this was a primer. We were not able to go very deep today, but there's something that I would like to tell you here is that we do have an attendance form that we will be sharing right now with you in the chat. So do ensure to fill that attendance form in. So that we can actually track your attendance and we can see that you have attended the webinar, and that so that we can also reward you with Metrics tokens, as well as give you a special badge that's going to give you the access to our Solana channel. But before we finish, there's also something that I would like to mention to you here, which is some of the current opportunities for you to get involved in the MetricsDAO community. So first, we have a bunch of different educational courses. So you currently have available Algorand and Ethereum courses that you can sign up today. We're going to block MetricsDAO all courses, as well as we are going to be launching some new ecosystem courses soon, including Solana course, which is going to delve deeper into the technicalities of Solana. As well, we're going to be launching courses for Near, Cosmos, and other ecosystems, and they're going to be launching over the next few weeks. So do ensure to join the community, to join our Discord server in order to keep updated on when that does that happen. As well, if you are interested in Web3 analytics, we do currently run Web3 analytics 101 as well as 201 programs. The next 101 cohort is starting in a couple of weeks, so feel free to join if you are interested. We also have a bunch of analytics challenges available for all of you to participate. If you do already have some free analytics challenges, it's a great way to gain some experience, as well as even earn some money if you do complete them well. And we also going to have a Solana chat for people who have attended this webinar. It's going to be assisted by a special badge. It's going to be given to everyone who fills in the form. So do ensure to join our Discord server if you have not already, and do introduce yourself in that Discord server so that we know who you are, what you're here for, and if there's any way you would like to get involved in the community. What I wanted to highlight that we are a DAO, so we are a decentralized autonomous organization, meaning that We are trying to work in a decentralized and community-driven way, and we would love to involve every one of you in joining the community and contributing in the communities. There are different ways in how you can contribute, but the best way to do that, it would be to actually join our Discord server, introduce yourself, how you could potentially like to get involved, as well as we will have a community call tomorrow that you can join as well to introduce yourself and just to understand what's happening within the DAO. I just want to quickly mention as well, as you do join the Discord server, you will be asked to actually connect your guild, to connect to the guild bot. So you do have to go to start your journey at the very top, connect your wallet, and then you will get access to the chat. You have Ethereum chat, actually you'll get access to the Solana chat. And also, if when you're filling in the form that has just been shared in the chat, do ensure that you do use the Polygon mainnet, because you will need to enter your Polygon address, because we're going to send you the tokens on Polygon. And if you don't have a wallet yet, MetaMask will be a recommended option for you. Okay, so that is it from me. Do we have any questions before we finish for today? Okay, no questions. Then thank you very much, everyone, for attending. I hope this was helpful. And don't forget to join our community if you want to get further involved. We would really love to have you there. And if you are in the community already, yeah, as well, if you want to get involved further or want to contribute as well, do raise your hand and we would love to get you involved. So thank you, everyone, for attending the webinar. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you in future webinars or courses. Bye-bye.